Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for joining us to this webinar discussing the establishment of novel R&D Center for Biodevices. We had the RFP out for something like a month, and we would like to not only for you to read it, but also to be able to talk about it and to understand the details by hearing and not only by reading. So this is the purpose of this webinar today. Before we start, my name is Yael Rosenberg. I'm part of the Israel Innovation Authority, part of the Technological Infrastructure Department. And I would like to ask Aviv, my boss, and a VP here of the Technology Infrastructure Division to do the openings. Following that, Tzachi will not join us today, and then we will deep dive into the details of the RFP. Just before you start asking the questions, so yes, it will be recorded and sent out to you guys, so you will be able to share, to watch, to discuss, see me again. So now, Aviv, right to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aviv, and I'm VP Technology Infrastructure in the Israel Innovation Authority. And I'm really glad that we are meeting here today because we have established the R&D Center's funding track almost 3 years ago with the hope to solve the market failure with the fact that Israel almost doesn't have any applied R&D centers. It's either you do research in the academia or you are doing internally in the industry. And this somehow caused a problem that's the same knowledge and the same personnel and the same abilities and the same equipment sometimes is not available for different industrial partner for a novel research. So we are trying here actually to identify the topics in which we think that some kind of applied research center should be established. We want to fund the infrastructure itself, which means the equipment, the personnel, with the hope that somehow we will make you, I would say, short the R&D process, make it cheaper, more available, and most important, the fact that it will be here in Israel without the need to go to another R&D centers outside of Israel. And sometimes when a company starts an R&D process outside Israel, it continues there. So in bioconvergence, actually, it's one of the topics that we have identified quite a few infrastructure which we want to build. One of them is the biodevices. We already established in synthetic biology and fermentation. Now it's actually the third infrastructure under the bioconvergence program. And we hope to put the same room people who knows how to build smart devices, smart the ability in biology and in software development, and all the way from the concept itself to the product on the table. So this is more or less just to give you a background of what we are looking for, and I will give you help to continue from here. Thank you.
Aviv, thank you very much, and feel well. Okay, so I want to say that I'm excited. I'm excited to be here today because this is a project that the Israel Innovation Authority has been working on for probably 3 years already, the big bioconvergence plan. And specifically this infrastructure, the biodevices one, we've been working on it for a year. So we've published an RFI some time ago in 2022, and some of you that are here with us today helped us, replied to the RFI. We read everything, learned a lot, had many conversations, internal assessment, and then we published the RFP this year, July. The RFP will be closed in 1.5 months from now, and we are really excited and looking forward to some good submissions and make with us the change that we are looking for in the establishment of this new novel R&D center. So what I want to do with you in the next hour or so is to talk about not the bioconvergence bigger picture, but just the biodevices. So whoever is not familiar with the previous conversations we had, so please read and get familiar with the background, but this project we are talking now about is part of this very bigger project that is called bioconvergence. So still, I want to give a little bit of the bigger picture about the bio devices, and then we'll drill down into the details and the technical application details. So eventually there is the technical phase of submission of the project that you are preparing to do. We do have some pre-prepared Q&A, questions and answers for you from the conversations, calls, emails we have received in the last month. So we will go through that, and then we'll have an open session of Q&A. So please feel free to write in the chat or in the Q&A whatever you want to know, and we will answer in this webinar until the time allows. So we are here together until 4, hopefully answer all the questions and everything you want to know. Okay, so let's start with the big picture. What is this R&D center, and what are we trying to achieve? In the bioconvergence vision, having R&D infrastructures has the purpose of being able to accelerate existing companies in their R&D or enable startups to develop high-risk bioconvergence projects, enable combination of work of different companies or academia with the industry, multidisciplinary research within the development itself. So this is the big vision of why we want to invest in R&D centers. What is the specific one about the bio devices? And by the way, I really, really hope that these first 10 minutes are somehow not the most important part, because they're a little bit of restating again what we said in the RFI webinar. This is just to recap, because I do hope that the 90 people, amazing amount of people that are here with us today, know what this RFP is about. But still, to give the big picture and then to drill down, we are in the bio devices center we want to initiate by this fund and by this RFP. When we talk about bio devices, we talk about different examples. They can be from biosensors to a lab on chip to an organ on chip. They can be from different fields, from the medical field, environmental, and others. These are just examples, but the purpose of this R&D center is giving R&D services to the companies developing bio devices. So that needs to be emphasized and hopefully clear by now. So the center would give R&D services. We understand from all the conversations and preparations we had that another thing that needs to happen in this center is providing production capabilities, not mass production, not production for actually selling the product, but for prototypes in small series. So that's part of the R&D process, a very important part. And hopefully this center, by being an R&D center and seeing one company after the other, will gain a very unique knowledge and would be able to enhance the companies and make their life easier and provide solutions that are not available for them today. How do we think that this needs to look like? So this R&D center giving services to the companies needs to be managed by an organization that wants to give those services. That's their business. That's what they want to do. So that's one thing. That's the interface to the customers. This center, even though we are investing a nice amount of funding from the government's funds in the first 3 years, that's probably going to be the more or less the time frame that the government funding will be helpful for this center. So we do want to see some kind of business model for the longer term that this center would be able to persist and be there after the government funding. We do understand that even though the funding is somehow a nice amount, and the biggest, by the way, amount that we did until now for R&D innovation centers, we understand that it might not be enough for all the infrastructure that is needed. So that's why we think and understand that utilizing existing capabilities of other companies and existing infrastructure in collaboration, or whatever way you choose to do that, might be a very, very good start and not starting from scratch. Okay, so recapping this, this bigger picture. Now we are in your planning phase, and hopefully once you submit, We are in the initiation phase. So in the initiation phase, there will be the funding from the government. It would be 55 to 66%. I will talk about that in a minute. There can be one or more establishing partners. So you can come as one company or several companies or companies with academia, whatever way you want to joint efforts, you can do that. Doesn't have to be. We talk about that a lot because we got the feeling and understanding that there is not one company that has the capabilities to do that, but that's not any kind of prerequisite. So feel free to do whatever is good and relevant for whoever is going to submit. So at the initiation phase, there is a lot of planning still going on because we understand that for submitting, you put some kind of an effort, and then in the initiation phase, there is a lot of more of planning and equipment you need to define and exactly look for the customers. So the initiation phase, that's how it looks. And then the execution, that's how it works for the next whatever years to come. We see the company or whoever will bring this up together as a service provider that will add and enhance the capabilities as they learn what is actually needed and what they want to focus upon. This entity must do some biz dev. It's not customers that are going to fall from whatever or the responsibility of the government. It is the responsibility of the entity that puts this together to do the biz dev, to do the marketing, to do the local and the international cooperations. And how do the income for this center, how does that work? Where do they come from? So the first thing we are interested in is R&D services. This is why we initiate this, but we understand that there are more roles that can come together and might be important. That could be training, giving courses, or using the expertise that you gain to spread them around. That could be also an income for this institution. Grants, you don't have to rely only on the Israel Innovation Authority, but if it's relevant to other grants around the world, more than welcome. You can have other business models as well. Everything is legit as long as the purpose of giving R&D services to the companies is there. So we understand that different companies might do that for different reasons. For example, if there is a company selling lab equipment, they might want to do this center to have companies use their equipment. That's fine. We would love to hear that business model. But please just give us the bigger picture so we understand where the revenue comes from and how does this look in the long run. Okay, so up to now, not much new from the RFI up to today. Now I want to talk specifically about the RFP and this specific submission. So even though we are talking about by devices, it could be in different domains, and the services that this center can give vary. And on the RFP, we did not specify what is must or what is nice to have. We gave a list of ideas of things that we understand that might be relevant. We would like to hear from you on your submission. What are the domains and the services that the center will focus on? So even though we gave the bigger picture, the submission, please specify in much more details. What are the services? How much you will charge for the services? How does it look? What are the companies that you think will be interested in that? And really drill down into that, because that's the main purpose. Another thing we would like to understand is to compare the services that you want to initiate to existing services in Israel, in the academia, around the world. We want to understand what is unique, what differentiates this. It doesn't mean that this has to be one of a kind in the entire world. We do understand that you need to sell eventually. So also doing things that are known and done in other places, that's fine. But we want to understand that we are doing something here that is unique, specifically for the biodevices. You will see in the submission document that we are talking about the details needs to be given for this year. So all the services and the budget breakdown is for the first period, which is the first year. But we do understand that this is a longer term of a vision, and we would like to hear from you what are your plans for the next years as well, not in a breakdown of a budget detail, but just a summary of the budget and ideas of where you want to take that further down the road after the first year. Okay, moving to the next section is operational details. We would love to hear Who are the partners behind that? So eventually the submission needs to be done by an Israeli company or an Israeli entrepreneur. That's nothing we can do about, but we understand that's why I'm also working hard and doing this in English, is because we understand and we are very happy that there is some international companies that are interested in coming and building the center here and being part of that. So even though the submission needs to be done by someone here in Israel, or if the company does not exist, by the entrepreneur, we still want to understand the bigger picture from you. Who are the planned partners? Even if you didn't still put together a company that puts together all these partners, please share with us who are the partners, what is their role within this submission, and how will that work in the long run? What do they bring with them? What do you bring with you? So please share with us that bigger picture, even though no need to open a company, no need to do anything specific before your project is approved. Another thing that is very, very important is that we do not want now to start the project and see only in a year, 2 years from now, added value to the companies. We would like to see something happening as soon as possible. So our recommendation or ask from you is to put the services up one after another, not to work now for an entire year or for 2 years and put together something that is perfect. Try to put things that can start running in a quarter, in 2 quarters from the approval date. So this R&D center already has traffic, already has customers, can go outside and talk about that, can represent themselves by what they do. So this is a lesson learned that we already learned from previous things we funded, and this is very, very important. So when you put together the plan, please think about things that are very, very short term, like 1 or 2 quarters from the beginning, and then down the road add more and more services and more value to the customers. Another thing that we would like to hear from you is eventually who will run this place, who will be the whatever CEO, or who will be in charge, of the entire R&D center. We would like to know who are the people that will be working there. Are they new employees? Are they employees you're going to pull from your existing activities that are already being done? We think and believe that having dedicated personnel for this activity is a must for this to be a success, because it's hard enough as is. We're all occupied and fully busy with the job we do. And just adding more on people that are already doing things would not make this thing work. So we would like to see dedicated personnel as the management and as the people that are actually giving the services. Okay, about the budget. So we put together a budget of 113 million new Israeli shekels. That's the budget for the entire 3 years. This budget is the entire budget of the project. This means that eventually what we will provide is 55 or 66% of this 113 million new Israeli shekels. So we would give 66% of that, and the rest needs to be matching funding that you bring from whatever investors, from the companies, from your friends and family, it doesn't matter, but matching needs to be provided to the Israel Innovation Authority's funding. Another thing that is important is that because this funding is for the entire 3 years, I think that from our previous experience, probably 30% would be spent on the first year, because as we move further to the second year, so the personnel grows, we have more people working in this place, and the purchase is more accurate. The center knows more what they want to do. So I would assume that the first year would be, less than 50% of the budget, and then the rest for the next 2 years. So please share with us what is your view, how you see it. That's from our experience, but totally the way that you decide to divide this budget is up to you, and whatever is right for you and works for you, that's the right thing. We would love to understand in a strategic view how you bind to this project. So for the Israel Innovation Authority, this is a vision. This is something we would love to see happening. It's not trivial. It's a big and major risk, and that's why we see ourselves part of it, but it's very exciting as well. So we understand that in order for you to be part of it, there needs to be something in it for you. And we would love to understand that, how it fits your strategy, your company's strategy. How does it work for you? We want it to be successful. And in order for it to be successful, it needs to be in your interest. We would like to understand what are the revenue generators for you. If it is the R&D services, anything else, as discussed, the 3 years and the short term, up to 1 year, 3 years and above. Okay, success measures. So if you read the RFP, we did not have any statements about the revenue for the first year, or how many customers you should have, or how many services you should have on the first year. This we are really waiting to hear from you and your plan. How do you think this works? So we would like to hear from you in the proposal. What do you think how does a success look like in selling services, purchasing equipment, how many customers you want to have, if you want to do any internal R&D. So please share with us, how does success look from your point of view for this center after 1 year, 1 to 3 years, and then 3 years and above. Okay, how does this look like? So I keep saying submission and a plan. Eventually, it is basically 2 documents, might be a little more, but these 2 documents talk about the submission. One is a Word document which talks about the plan, and another one is an Excel with the breakdown for the budget that you are applying for. Those 2 are in Hebrew, and apologies for the international people that are joining us here. It is what it is. This is what we have there in Hebrew. And you probably would need an Israeli partner to be part of that for the submission. What we would like to hear in a very high level, in a very, from the bigger picture, you would see that the breakdown is into equipment, into services, personnel, and business model. ובעברית זה יהיה ציוד, שירותים, כוח אדם והמודל העסקי. And please make sure that your answers here are clear. This is what we would love to learn from you and how you see it. Okay, some more details. Who is the submitter? So as said, the submitter needs to be an Israeli company, an industrial company, or an entrepreneur. Forward down the road, it needs to be a company, an industrial company giving R&D services. So we do differentiate between the submitter and between the person that will be actually running and executing the R&D center afterwards, just because we do not want you to do anything that is not needed. So share with us. We do not, if you're coming together, joining efforts with several companies, we do not want to bother you on creating this new company and closing all the details before submission, because we might not approve that. So we want you to submit, and we want you to write the details. And if you're more than one, so also submit like a letter of intent or something that shows how this relationship between the different companies will work. Budget 113 million new Israeli shekels for the entire 3 years. The matching, okay, so I feel I might, need to apologize or need to clarify. We keep having this answer, what is it, the 55 or 66% of the funding that we do. So what happens is that 113 is the entire budget for the project. Eventually, you get out of it 66 or 55%. This is decided only on the day of the committee that reviews these projects and evaluates the submissions one according to another and chooses the one that will get the approval. They have also the authority of deciding if it's going to be 55 or 66%. It depends on many considerations that they can have. For example, the risk that the company is taking, the place this matching is coming from. This could be according to the budget that is available if we want to approve more than one project. So it depends on many different parameters. And I'm sorry that we cannot say more and give you a certainty of the exact amount, but it is between those 2 numbers. the approval. So we are looking, because we know that the budget, even though it's high, it might not be enough. We are looking into approving one center. But if for some reason there will be two very, very different submissions with different values, and we would think both of them are important, Dr. Natalie Bloch is here today with me. She will be the one looking for more budget, so we would be able to approve more than one. But basically, it will be depending, the decision of approving one or more would be depending on the value proposition of the submissions and the entire available budget. Okay, so what could the budget be used for? So purchasing equipment, all the personnel needed. So here I want to try and explain this in a little bit more details. The way we see it is we understand that in order to put together this center, a lot needs to be done. So you probably need people that would find the equipment you need and purchase it and have some legal documentation going on and forth. Once you have the equipment, you probably need to dry run it and play around with it and understand how you're going to work with it. So all the preparations, everything that is needed in order to put this center on a working ground is available, and that's budget we can approve. BizDev, by the way, as well. What we do not approve further down the road is the personnel actually giving R&D services. So once they give R&D services, these needs to be paid by the users that are purchasing those services. So we want our budget to go and be used only for things that are relevant for the infrastructure and not for a specific customer or a client. So that's basically it. Okay, another thing that is important, once you try and download the documentation, just trying to avoid a question here, there is the Excel. You need it to select in the Excel this specific program. Once you select that, you can start filling that in. So as said, this information will be sent to you, the slides and the recording of the session. So please feel free to come back to this once you're ready to fill this in and find this here. I hope that would be helpful. Okay, last part of me talking here endlessly. We are in the Q&A sessions now, questions that we've heard up to now, and I want to answer them before you have another option to ask them again. So, okay, a budget. Another example, or trying to refer to that again. The total budget looks like this, 113. Let's assume the committee decides to give 66% of the funding. That means that would be 74.5 million new Israeli shekels, government giving to the submitter that would be approved for up to 3 years. This means that this number, 38.5 million, is the matching you will need to bring along those 3 years. Breakdown, so as mentioned before, the breakdown doesn't have to be equal between the years. You can use it the way you want. This is just an example, 30 million for the first year, 60 for the second, and then the 23 for the third year. Up to you, whatever works for you, whatever is the right plan. What is the actual funding, 55 or 66? So I hope I was able to answer that. I know that this answer is not a yes or no question answer. So I know that you're still left with the question, but this is the most I can help you at this stage. Can in-kinds be matching? So for example, there are companies that are coming with equipment they already have. So unfortunately, equipment or any kinds of in-kind could not be matching. Matching is only, we fund by money and we want the matching to be money as well. If you have any pre-existing equipment, so please share with us, because definitely this is a value that you are bringing with you into this project, and someone else might not be bringing that value with you. So that's how we see it. Okay. Applicants. We have here some non-Israeli companies, which we are very happy for you to be interested in this project. And we had those questions of how can non-Israeli companies apply. So you can do that by opening a new Israeli entity. As said, it is not a must for that to happen before a submission. It will be a must after the approval. So how can you submit? You can submit by any Israeli ID, any Israeli existing company, and state inside your project how will it look like. Another way for non-Israeli companies to be part of that is by collaborating with other Israeli founders, other Israeli entities. If you want to come together, we more than welcome you guys. And we think that that could bring a lot of value. As said before, not needed for the submission to open this new joint company. That could be done afterwards. Another way for non-Israeli companies to be part of it is by being subcontractors to Israeli companies. I do want to emphasize here that eventually the grant needs to be given to a company that we believe and understand that will be here for the long run. So, we are looking into if there is a cooperation. So we would like to see the Israeli company having more than 50% of this company eventually. If it's someone that is totally not in Israel, we would like to see how you stay here, or even more, we would like to see that you have strong persistence here in Israel and not giving these government funds into something that eventually you will give up, close the center, and go with the entire funding. So for non-Israeli companies to be part of this, you need to join efforts or be international, but already have something here strong and stable in Israel, or joint effort with an Israeli company. That's something that needs to happen. Okay, so how can you find partners? This is something we've been working on since the RFI. We would love for you to find whoever can complete you and whatever you bring to the table. And we have this document up and ready and set. And you're more than welcome to log into that and look for other companies or people that are interested in this. Okay, I think that we are in the last slide. Can the center do internal research? So obviously, as an R&D center that gives R&D services, we do understand that in order to be very technical and cutting edge in technology, you would probably have internal research that might have IP related to that, or might take the time of your personnel, might create solutions that eventually you will sell. That is understood. Feel free to share that with us, but all that is not part of this project. So we are not going to fund that. We are only funding the infrastructure and services needed to give services to the industry. All the internal research, all the internal whatever development is not part of this fund. What about the IP generated in the center? So if we understand the previous question that we are not funding the IP is yours. It's not funded by this program. So it is up to you how you handle it. What happens after 3 years? So we really hope to see a successful starting in this 3 years, and for the center to be able to continue much, much longer after that. We are going to stay in touch. We would ask for you to share with us how is it going, how many companies are coming and getting your services, but we will not continue to fund it. Can this center give services to international companies? So of course, we think and believe that if international companies come, it means that this center is an international level and is highly appreciated outside from Israel as well. So we do think it is important. We do think it is good, but we just not want it to be instead of the local companies that they are in the focus of our, though they're the center of our focus in this R&D center. We are looking to enable their research to help them grow much faster, and they're our main interest. So giving services is great, but please make sure that it's done in an appropriate manner and not instead of local companies. So if I'm not mistaken, this was my last slide. Now I want to go to the questions and answers that I see I already have here. So I will read them out loud and try and answer. Okay, so we have Sabine asking, revenues forecast from services provided can be considered matching funds. Okay, Sabine, so it could be, but not for the entire budget. So down the road, if you think about year 2, year 3, some of the matching can be from forecast of revenues, but as we all see it, it is a major risk here. We know it is, and you need to come with funding for the first year. Some of it could be from services, but the majority of it needs to be from a safe and secure place. By the way, if you do have already signed contracts, so that's something different. LOIs are also good, but something needs to be, safe and proved, and something that we can work with as well. Okay, Omri is asking here, for smaller companies in this field who wish to eventually benefit from the center's services, is there any way we can contribute to its eventual success from the perspective of the Innovation Authority? Okay, so Omri, I always say that every assistance is more than welcome. Kol ezra mitkabelet bivracha. So thank you for suggesting that. What I would love you to do is sign yourself also in that Excel, that is a shared Excel. You can see it here on the screen as the first one, sign up for cooperation. So Omri, I would ask you to sign yourself up there as well. And companies that are looking to come with a solution, please contact people that are your customers the next day. So Omri, I think that could be a very, very a great opportunity to help and make sure that what will be created here is aligned with the needs of the industry. Okay, moving to the Q&A. According to the regulation, if a few partners wish to submit one single application, they have to establish a member group, קבוצת משתמשים. The regulations specify that they have to incorporate as a nonprofit organization. Is this the only permissible method? Is a partnership allowed? Okay, so קבוצת משתמשים or a member group is something else. I did not go into this at all because from all the conversations I had up to now, I did not hear anyone that was specific into it. I will say a word about it because it was asked. A member group or קבוצת משתמשים is a group that is organized together as a nonprofit organization. The customers and the ones that are creating the infrastructure are together. So they're purchasing this equipment together, and the services are mostly going to be given to them as the group. They can sell the services as well. That's a nonprofit organization. Here we are looking, it is a viable approach. But if you want to come together, the submission is done by one. But the way you are organized behind that, if you are going to create a company that has whatever, different holdings of different companies, that is fine, that is eligible, that is legal, more than welcome to use that. So it's not only a member group that is possible. Yael asks, while the form for submission is in Hebrew, can at least part of the responses be filled in English? Definitely. I did not say that, Yael. Thank you for the question. Definitely, you can fill the submission in English. That is fine. Note that the budget for קבוצת משתמשים, the budget is 18 months, not 12. Is that correct? It is correct. I wonder who this anonymous person is. If you are actually interested in קבוצת משתמשים, please contact me. I would love to understand who is the group and why do you want to operate in that way, and I will answer all the questions. Another question from Yael, just to be sure, your main purpose list, which comprised of 3 R&D activities, R&D, production, generating unique IP, are not cumulative, correct? Not sure what you meant by not cumulative. I'm not sure. Those are different activities. All of them can be under the same roof, under the same organization. This is what we think or understood in the process of building this RFP, that these are the main things needed by the customers. Question from Susan, what role do you see for US academics? Okay, so I didn't talk about Israeli academics as well and US academics. So let's talk about that for a second. we do see being in the front, a company that gives services and, runs after the companies, knows how to get their revenue, wants, and that's their mission, to give R&D services. We know and understand and appreciate the academia role, and that's not their main purpose, to give R&D services to the industry. We do think that there is a lot of value, there is knowledge in the academia, ideas, people with really unique experience, and also equipment that is very unique. So we do see a joint effort, or something that could happen together between the academia and the industry, a partnership, but we do want to see an industrial company in the front. So the same goes for a US academia or an Israeli academia. If you want to partner with the Israeli industry, this is the role we see it. Yeah, you have many questions here. Can an industrial company that applies or is formed following submission possibly be a non-for-profit entity? Yes, it could. Yeah, also, if you have any questions of that, let's talk. I'll be more than happy to help and learn more. Is there any CapEx-OpEx ratio that will influence the IAA decision? No, there is not. I always say that this is for you. We give the opportunity. You need to do whatever is right and whatever works for you. During submission, anonymous, someone asking, during submission, do the applicants need to present matching funds just for the first year or for the entire project? So we do understand the risk. And we need to understand that you are on safe ground. So you don't need to prove for the 3 years, but you need to be able to explain in your vision, where do you think that will come from? And I will elaborate how it looks from our side. So even though you're going to ask for for a subset of the 113 new Israeli shekels for the first year, we are putting aside the entire budget. We make sure that it is there for you when you're going to need that. So we want to make sure that the matching is there as well. It doesn't have to be in cash in the bank that day, but we need to understand where that comes from. We don't want the money, to you not be able to provide that eventually, and then the budget that we kept aside will not be able to be used. So I hope that answered. Ido is asking regarding the funding rate, is there a range between 55 and 66? No, there is not. It's going to be 55 or 66. Okay, another question about the 18 months, 12 months. Oh, okay. And the template mentions a period of 18 months, but you speak about 3 years. Can you please clarify? Okay, so the entire project is for 3 years. You will be submitting for the first period, which is 12 months. 1 second, Yael Gershenfeld, can you please verify if we extended on the new, on the changes to 18 months? I think we didn't, but Yael will give us an answer in a second. The first period is up to 12 months. That's the submission you are doing. The entire budget, entire plan is there for you for 3 years. So that's the difference between the 3 years and the first period, which is 12 months. If I'm mistaken and it's 18, I will correct myself in a second with the help of Yael. Ido is asking, are there official limitations on how much of the services can be provided to companies outside of Israel? No, there is not any limitation. It is up to you. We would love to hear, once we talk with you, the consideration. If you by any chance charge more international companies than Israeli companies, and then you favor international companies, that's not going to be something we want to see. But if you have capacity, there's not enough Israeli companies, there's things very interesting and relevant abroad, as said, appreciated and welcome. Oh, okay, another question by Elk. Do we get it right that you are funding costs to set a center up to be able to provide R&D services, infrastructure training, but you do not fund that same R&D personnel running the R&D services after the client is attracted and the contract signed? So no R&D OpEx is funded. Basically, that's how we see it. We understand that there is always some R&D OpEx because you work on new procedures, or there are things that are general, but are things that are connected specifically to customer needs should be on the customer itself. So yes, you stated it correctly. Okay, Yael corrected herself. I meant that you do not need to do all of them. That's correct. You do not have to do all the three. That's the value we saw and the needs we understood. But that's, I understand now your question of cumulative, up to you, whatever you decide. And consider that there are other people that would submit as well. So please explain why you decided to do one thing and not the other. Okay, we have here Ruth question, רשום שזה לשנה, משך זמן התוכנית 3 שנים. Okay, I hope I did explain the connection between the 1 year and up to 3 years. The 6 years, I really didn't want to make this so complicated. The 6 years is for קבוצת משתמשים, which I'm not aware of anyone that wants to connect together as a קבוצת משתמשים. So that's why 6 years. I don't know anyone that it is relevant to under this submission. Okay. Another question from Yael, what happens if customers want IP rights to any of the infrastructure IP in order to utilize results of the research? So as said, the IP rights, if you have any IP within this R&D center, you do with it whatever you understand, because we are not funding it and it is not part of this submission. So it is not funded by the. So please do not put, if you have any people doing internal research for internal research, please do not put that under the funding of this project. And then the IP is outside of the scope of our discussion. Okay, I think I have another question. Okay, Ruth, okay, sorry, this is in Hebrew. האם כוח אדם לתפעול המרכז ניתן לתמחור בהגשה? So yes, operational personnel, which have to do with global operation of the infrastructure and not with a specific customer, are could be under the budget of this submission. Okay, I'm going back to the chats. I think I have another one here from Ross. Is the cooperation documents live? I went to, and it is not active. I'm going to check that here with you in a second. Okay, so I am able to log into it. I'll do 1 second to stop share of this, and I will share with you the document. This is how it looked like. I just clicked the link that I shared with you. You're more than welcome to list yourself here. You see there are already 30 or less than 30, whatever, 20-something people listed here. You have to state your name, organization, what you're interested in, contact information, and hopefully people will be able to contact you. So I'm not sure why, let's see who it was. Where did the chat go to? So I'm not sure, Ross, why you're not able to log into that. Maybe there are some restrictions in the place you were trying to log in from. But I just clicked that and it works fine for me. Feel free to contact us if you have anything else. So, okay. So Russ, thank you. I understand it is okay. I think I have another last question here. Can you elaborate on the overheads that can be included in the budget? So there is a term in Hebrew that is used for overhead, zitqua. That's calculated automatically within the Excel. When I said overhead, or what I wanted to make sure you are aware of, is that we are now funding people for biz dev as well. We understand that that's like part of the infrastructure because it doesn't have to do with one specific customer. We are funding legal. We understand that the budget behind that is a lot. So if there are any big legal documentation or anything you need to have to do with this could also be funded directly. And I'm not sure if we had anything else. I did want to answer the question about the 18 months. Yael, do you have the answer for that? Anyways, I think it is, if there will be any changes, I will update you. But I think it is 12 months. If any changes, I will definitely shoot out an email for everyone and let you guys know. We did discuss the option of expanding the period, but I think it didn't go through. So that's why I'm hesitating a little bit, but keep in mind 12 months, any changes, I will let you guys know. So just before I say goodbye, I forgot, I wanted to launch a poll here for you guys to be able to understand if this webinar was actually what you signed up for. So we would love to hear, just to understand that the way we advertise it is correctly, and the way you were here and joined us and understood, is that what you expected? So I will leave it ongoing here for a minute or two. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And as I shared at the beginning, I'm very excited we reached this time of the year. We were along this project for a very long time, and I'm happy we are starting to execute it. Looking forward to hear from you guys. In the submission, if you have any more questions, feel free to write to me. Everything will be sent out in an email. Links and updates to this would be in the link to the RFP. So feel free to follow that, and feel free to be in touch if anything else is needed. Thank you for joining, and have a great day. Take care.